Canadians are $200 away from not being able to pay their bills. Today, we're talking about Canada's growing consumer debt. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Adet, and you're listening to my podcast hub, where we discuss the economy, the real estate market, and a touch of politics. You don't want to miss this. Dragos, there's some worrying news out there. It's a lot of it has been coming out in the last little bit. Based on a poll conducted by Ipsos Reid for Mars Norris Penny, half of Canadians are reportedly within $200 of being unable to pay their debts and cover their monthly bills. Now, this is the record low for Mars Norris Penny's Consumer Debt Index. What do you think's driving this, buddy?
Chris, there are many reasons that drives this, obviously, and we will focus on only a few of them. So the first one is that the high debt levels that are becoming harder to service. And it's also a significant drop in disposable income, which means people are making less money, and also financing will be harder. And that, I believe, it's one of the main reasons. And also, I want to point out that 1/3 of respondents are being reported being insolvent.
So basically, a third of the people are unable to pay their bills at this point.
Yep, that's basically what it is. Insolvent. It says that it's the title, the $200 away from being broke. It's exactly that. So if paying a check doesn't come in on Thursday or Friday, that means the next week the people don't have the money to pay their bills.
And we're looking at literally a third of Canadians right now.
Yeah, 33%.
With half of them being $200 away from being.
Yeah.
From being in there. That's pretty bleak, buddy. Job market, unemployment. I've been seeing some pretty crazy figures on that lately. Is that a big contributing factor, or are they just high debt?
Yeah, of course. So I want to show you something, Chris. The rising debt and job anxiety leave Canadians struggling with disposable income shrinking further, right? And as we said, half of Canadians are $200 away from being unable to pay the bills, right? So this article talks about and explains a few reasons about that. And another reason that I found is that we are in the worst job market in 7 years, with job vacancies in their lowest, and which means only one job is available for every 3 people that are looking. This is critical. So, Chris, I want to ask you a question as well. I moved from Quebec to Alberta. You moved from Ontario to Alberta, and you saw. Yeah, I can't wait to say that also. And so you faced job markets. You are in real estate. You faced real estate markets. Do you feel it? What we're talking about? About like a very bad market, only one job available for 3 people that are looking, and a significant drop in disposable income. How do you see that? How do you feel it?
Yeah, and you know what? I think we're on a lag here in Alberta versus the huge downturn that they're seeing in Ontario right now. Like, those guys are suffering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're suffering in the housing market. Sales are down like 70%.
Yep.
Across the board, things seem to be actually staying somewhat stable for pricing. I believe outside of the condo market, new construction is crazy and weird all over the place. But we are starting to feel the effects here in Alberta now as well. And I think there's still a lot of uncertainty here with what's going to go on with our new government. We're hopeful, but reservedly so. And our housing market here has really been all over the place as well. So, some spots are up. We're still seeing multiple offers in some spots, and then some spots are really down, and we're seeing price decreases like crazy. we're just trying to keep up with what's been happening over the last bit here. But our job market is still fairly strong, and we're hoping that continues.
Yeah. Chris, also, I want to show you the when we talk about the bad job market. I don't know if you remember. Probably the people who saw the podcast remember. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, I explained you because of the chart. I predicted that the market will go higher than 6.9% of unemployment rate, and that's for Canada. Ontario is way higher, okay, and Alberta is higher a little bit than 6.9. So this here, it's called a double top. So if this in May, for example, it's 7 or 7.1, then we are off to the races. That means probably in the next 6 months, 7.4, 7.5%. And if real bad things happen, it can go to 8%. And one of and I'll finish with this for this point, is that the potential U.S. tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum imports went up today. Today it's 50%. So
that's a devastating announcement.
It's devastating. So the unions and the CEOs of the companies say this is basically a dead market. At 50%, there's no market to it. And they said we will stockpile for a few days, few weeks, but after that we have to shut down production. And you know what that means, Chris? That means that this here continues. And that's a fundamental analysis backing a chart and technical analysis. So this is my prediction. In the next 6 months, this will go between 7.3 and 7.5 in Canada.
But that is definitely creeping up on the 8% range. And I don't think we've seen that since the 80s into the 90s.
Yeah. And also, talking about the 90s, there's a few people that also do podcasts with other experts, and that's in Ontario. Again, this year was worse. The spring market, the number of sales of single homes, not condos, not all of them. It's very important. The number of sales this spring in Ontario, the number of sales of single homes are less as volume as the 90s, which was the decade-long recession. We arrived in Montreal in 96. Okay, so we were in that recession. I remember my parents bought a home for $69,000 on a small river and in Saint Eustache, which is a very, very good neighborhood and place to live. It was amazing. And there was a sixplex for sale for 4 years. So until 99, 2000, 4 years, do you understand? I remember at $235,000. Brand new. Sixplex. Brand new. And nobody bought it, including me or my parents, which is, I cannot believe it. That is close to 2 million now. So you understand, it was such a big increase.
No.
But the point is, the sales was very low, and that's what we see in Ontario.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of the problem too, that incredibly cheap complex had risen by so much, and things have been going so crazy there. It's really easy for everybody to forget that real estate is cyclical.
Yeah.
And what goes up must come down. It'll go back up again, but it's got to come down first. So,
and there's a not a problem, but the way that the government thinks. So the government won't let this thing go down easily, the prices, okay? And this is a problem it is a problem because We have the second biggest country, and probably let's say maybe equal to Russia, because in Russia you can't really necessarily live at minus 60 in Siberia, So as and we can live in like a high river, right, or high level, or a Fort McMurray. So we have a very big country, and we have the less housing per capita in the G7, probably in G20 also. I don't know, but this G7, that's a point that I heard a lot about in the elections. So the housing, and you have to maintain the house, you have to repair the house, you have to change the windows, the roof. It's not the house really that went up in value, right? It's true that it's more expensive to build and to pay the people and the materials. I understand that. But if we look at it, it's really the lot, the land, and as in any good socialist country, the permits. The permits are very expensive to build. So who's that? Who doesn't allow the land to be sold to be able to construct more homes? Canadian government. Who wants to people and promoters to pay tens of thousands of dollars in permits and consulting? The municipal, the provincial, and the federal government. So that's the biggest problem, Chris. That's the biggest problem. Permits, red tape, and they don't sell the land. The federal government doesn't sell the land to the promoters. So it keeps this pricing artificially up.
Well, they keep talking about cutting the red tape. We'll see where that goes. It seems like they speak out of one side and then do something else, which happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We'll figure out where that goes. And having said that, just speaking of cost of building, there's a lot of construction that happens with steel. So we'll see where everything goes in the next bit for both the States and for Canada, because I think it's a fool that thinks that exports to the States being tariffed are not going to affect the prices of construction here. So we'll see where that goes. And also along that same lines with the interest rates, we'll probably talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to show you, and then I'll talk about the interest rates. So the tariffs may also help. If all of a sudden we build pipelines and then we can't immediately sell the aluminum and the steel to Europe, then what we're going to do with it? We're going to sell it to what? I don't know, Alaska? It's still US. Northwest Territories? Yeah, but how much? We have to sell it somewhere. So it will be in Canada and will help us. The price will go down a little bit for the construction. Or something else can happen. We don't know. We will see. But I want to show you something. The Canadian economic concerns that we talk about. I want to show you guys this because I did a mind map. So one of the reasons that we talk about is a job market. One job is available for every 3 workers that are looking for it, right? We said that is the worst job market in 7 years. Rising unemployment. I just showed you that. It's at 6.9 in Canada. Increased competition in jobs. This is one of the points and the plans that the Liberal government had. So when you increase mass immigration, you are increasing competition in low and medium paying jobs. And also the wages are going way down. So this is what is happening right now. And also the job security concerns, because when you have so much people that are ready to take your job at a lower wage, then you got the job anxiety, which is unfortunately. And what will happen is that some will leave Canada. Okay. And the Trump tariffs trade war will not help. So we said this is still an aluminum tariff 25%, but today is announced 50%. Consumers will pay more. Impact the increased cost of what Canada sells to US, obviously, impact on real estate that we talk about, it will be that the drop in housing sales is expected, like we said in the examples we gave. Buyers and sellers are exercising caution, obviously, reassessing real estate plans. Are we going to buy now? Are we going to buy in 2 months, in 6 months, in a year? Let's wait, see if the prices goes down. You know the point. Obviously, consumer confidence is impacted. And we talked about the oversupply in Toronto condo market with 2,500 pre-sale units coming in soon. Okay, more than their problems right now. So, Chris, basically, Canadians have a growing pessimistic financial outlook and feel unprepared and for the expenses and what is coming. This is basically what it is. So with that, today, the Bank of Canada hold the key rate at 2.75 as tariff uncertainty persists. So and we saw immediately that the Canadian dollar appreciated immediately and appreciated a lot because people were expecting a small rate drop, like 0.25%, and this guy kept it. Because of that, like I explained a few times, the market was expecting a drop and there's no drop. When you don't drop the interest rate, so you immediately increase the value of the currency. I also explained that. So what do you think, Chris, other than the Canadian dollar increasing in value, will happen with this rate that was hold at 2.75?
And this is the second time in a row, like the second announcement in a row where they've held it steady at that key rate. And to be frank, I think that's a little bit of a deer in the headlights approach. And I'm basing that on pretty much every economist that I follow and what they're saying, we need to be doing right now. So yeah, I guess the question is the uncertainty of what's going to happen with tariffs and the economy is the right approach to hold that at the 2.7 mark, or should we be reducing? I, based on the economists, think we should be reducing. Small reductions, consistent, keeping things moving forward. But I don't think holding tough right now is the way to go.
Nope.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that, particularly with rising debt levels, as you mentioned, and a lot of people close to insolvency. And all of this gets tied in, not only to mortgage debt, consumer debt, credit cards, loan payments, car payments. There's a lot that gets tied into this. So we'll see how this all plays out. But I think overall, Canadians are stressed. They're worried about their finances. They feel unprepared, and they're not looking forward to any unexpected expenses. So people are holding tough and just trying to figure out what the heck they're gonna do next. We're incredibly lucky to live here where we do, but if we're not careful and cognizant, this could turn on a dime or a loony, as you might say here. Yeah, it should be interesting. Dragos, anything else we should be talking about on this topic here and now?
Oh, it's perfect, Chris. The light just light up, so it means we're done.
There you go. Closing time. Well, folks, that's a wrap then on another episode of My Podcast Hub. I'm Chris Adet. This is Dragos Rixandu. Don't forget to subscribe and don't miss our next deep dive. We'll be sure to tell your friends. Catch you later.
See you guys.